We are starting off today with the Georgia Bulldogs taking down Clemson on Saturday night.
Yeah, so this was definitely probably not at all what people were expecting from this game. Not only did Georgia end up winning, but it was not a very, I would say, entertaining game. It was a defensive struggle, and it was definitely a struggle to kind of watch and get through. Uh, Key stats here, Clemson ends up finishing with a total of 2 rushing yards to Georgia's 121. And that really kind of just shut down everything for Clemson, not being able to get the run going, because they weren't getting many passes going either. No offensive touchdowns in this game. DJ comes out, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and gets sacked 7 times. And he throws that one it was to Christopher Smith, which is a pick 6, and that pretty much won it for Georgia as Georgia wins 10-3.
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there. Obviously, this was going to be, one of the best games of the season, at least heading into it. Two top 5 teams in week 1 before conference play starts. The first real big game of the season. And if you love defense, then, it was a great game for you. But generally, people love offense nowadays. So it wasn't the best of games. But unpacking this for Clemson, obviously, the biggest issue is the offense was just atrocious. 2 total rushing yards, regardless of whether we're in a passing era or not. That's just kind of unacceptable for a team to only have 2 rushing yards in the game. Now, they took away 22 yards of their total because of the sacks that happened, but still, they didn't rush very well at all. Even without that, they had less than 30. So, not very good at all. They definitely need to run the ball more. I understand that later in the game they wanted to pass it a lot more, but it was close the entire game, obviously. So they could have run the ball a whole lot more to try to get the run going, take some pressure off of DJ. This being his first real time starting, other than the few games he started last year while Trevor was out. And to DJ, he obviously didn't play well at all. Completed about half of his passes. You need a little bit better than that for sure, especially with the receivers that Clemson has. That one pick obviously was the game changer. It was a pick 6, and they lost by a touchdown. So on that play, I saw Dabo say that it was Justin Ross that messed that up, but I didn't really see that there. It looked like it was just a good play by the DB to me, but maybe he was just trying to, have some confidence in his young quarterback, but I don't really believe that Justin Ross ran the wrong route there. Um, Defense for Clemson was great, obviously, because they only allowed 3 points on offense. Of course, being the only touchdown in the game was that pick 6, but the offense was just not good. The offensive line was absolutely atrocious, to say the least. I know DJ held onto the ball a lot and didn't really get out of the pocket to try and run, but the offensive line pretty much didn't give him any time to throw. They sacked him 7 times, like you said. So overall, Clemson was just bad on offense, and Georgia, you have to give it to them on defense, especially the defensive line. They just played about as good as you possibly can play against a top team like Clemson.
Yeah, I mean that Georgia defense came out against a pretty high ranked offense, and I mean they weren't intimidated at all, and they took advantage of the terrible offensive line, like at least as far as how they were playing that night. They got through, sacked them 7 times. There were a lot of other times where they just put a lot of pressure on the play and either tipped the pass or made it to where it wasn't going to go anywhere. So they really took advantage of, I guess, maybe DJ's nerves and getting hammered that much as the game goes on and on. It probably gets harder and harder to actually complete something because, I mean, once you're sacked, I don't know, probably 3 times, it's like, dang, I don't want to keep getting ran over. By the time you get to 7, it's there's not much you can do mentally. Like he's probably already ran out. And so yeah, DJ needs to get rid of the ball sometime, be more willing to run as that pressure starts to fold in on him. But at the same time, as that game went on, it probably got harder and harder to do that because it just there's only so much you can do. And so he needs to improve. The offensive line needs to definitely protect him a lot better. And they've got to figure out how to fill in the gaps of the run game without Travis Etienne. So, and definitely big props to Christopher Smith. It definitely looked like he kind of baited DJ into throwing that pick 6. I'm not really sure about Justin Ross running the wrong route either. That did seem like that's what happened. So I would say that's just big props to the whole defense, Christopher Smith especially, because they pointed out like broadcast and everything. It looked like the way he moved, he just kind of made DJ think he could throw that little pass, and he got right in there, got it, and was able to outrun everyone. And 6'4" DJ, who almost got him, but almost apparently obviously is not enough. And yeah, they lose by a touchdown.
Yeah, so being that they only lost by a touchdown, I'm not going to act like Clemson deserves to be ranked, 25th after this. Their season's over. Obviously, their defense is good. Now, that could be at the same time that Georgia's offense wasn't really that good either. JT Daniels was efficient, but he didn't really throw for many yards at all. 135 for him, and he threw a pick as well. Zamir White, he didn't have a good game rushing, 13 carries, 74 yards, averaging almost 6 yards a carry. You just need to give him the ball more, really. But again, once you get later in the game, I can see why they were trying to just go ahead and end it with him. And like I said, on the flip side, that's why Clemson probably passed a lot later in the game as well, because they're trying to catch up and get this game over with. But I'd say both teams were just not really good on offense in general. It was just Clemson was atrocious, Georgia was meh, and the defense for Georgia was just a lot better. So again, I don't think this is the end of the road for Clemson or anything. They'll probably win out in the ACC. I don't see a team beating them throughout the regular season. Now, they could very well lose if they don't make a lot of adjustments, because even though they were going up against a top 5 team in Georgia, I mean, you should never look that bad in a game. So I think Clemson will be fine going forward. You'll have to see for the ACC championship and the playoffs or whatever. And it all depends on how things turn out with, Ohio State, Oklahoma, which we'll get to, and of course, Georgia, Alabama, all those top teams. And for Georgia, their offense needs to get better, of course, but their defense is going to be that good for the rest of the season, then, they could be at the top near the end.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Georgia stays on pace like that, at least their defense does, then they've got a good chance at really making a big impact and staying at the top of those rankings, no matter what kind of team you're going against. If your defense plays with that much hunger and that much like ferocity, like you're going to succeed most of the time. Now, we saw a super powerhouse offense in Alabama, which we'll get to later, and maybe the Georgia defense wouldn't be able to quite match up with that, but you never know. So I think they'll be doing good. And Clemson's got a few key adjustments to make, but I think, yeah, they should be fine going through the ACC. And then come playoff time, ACC championship time, we'll have to see if they make the right adjustments to keep them up at the top, or if they end up, with a sad ending to the season as well.